You're listening to Honey, We Made a Disney Podcast. Two friends since having nightmares after reading Goosebumps. Now dads reliving the Disney movies we grew up on with our own kids. I'm Eddie Ferguson.
And I'm JB Waggoner. And on today's episode, we honor those men who did what was considered wrong in order to do what they knew was right, as we review National Treasure. But first, Eddie, what's going on? What's going on with you and the family? How you guys doing?
We had some people over this past Thursday night, and they asked for some napkins at dinner, and we said, "Oh, hold on," and we keep our napkins like guarded up on an upper shelf and everything, and they were like, "That's really odd. Like, why do you have to do that?" And we were like, "Well, because our daughter loves to express herself via napkins, like decorate the house with hundreds of napkins everywhere if she can get a hold of them." Or what happened was Thursday, one of our lovely guests left some napkins. I'm talking just kind of your, one-time use paper napkins. They left some out unbeknownst to us. And the next morning we come out and Eileen has constructed quite wonderfully. I was like, wow, this is really creative. But a dress out of dozens of napkins that we forgot or were left out. So yes, that was just another reminder of how children are, yes, creating, but also destroying while creating.
Does she color the napkins while she's doing it as well? Or like what's her technique?
No. She leaves coloring to the walls, the windows, the floors, our chairs, at times my Bible.
Yeah.
That's what she prefers to color.
Your Bible.
No, she just constructs straight out of napkins.
Any book she can get a hand on.
Anything she can get her hands on.
We aren't quite to that. I did have my daughter walked in, and we have a animatronic little Baby Yoda doll, and she had given Baby Yoda a makeover with pins in its hair and barrettes all throughout its ears. It was very beautiful. It was a very beautiful Grogu. And at first I was like, well, he wouldn't wait. We don't know if it's a he or a she or a what. It's just it. I don't know. I don't know what the pronouns are for it, but that's where I found myself the other day.
Wow. Now she colors her brother. We walk in and there's Asa.
Which one? Asa. Oh, Asa. Yeah.
Asa. Yeah. Green or blue or red or whatever color of choice. And what she's typically really good at is picking one color and then just going to town on him with that one color.
She can't be held back by a canvas. She's got to have multiple canvases to put her creativity on. Living art.
But enough about me. We have a lot of different Disney news to get to. The first, I think, is one that we just kind of have to lay our heads down low and realize this. It was slim pickings if it was ever going to happen for us in the first place, but it is now definitely not going to happen. And that is the closure of Star Wars, the Galactic Star Cruiser. It is shutting down, ironically, the very last day of Disney's fiscal year, September 30th. I think they're timing that.
That's why they did that. Okay.
So they can write it all off on this year, and then just next year, look, wow, miraculously, we're in the black. This is great. But so I don't think anybody's surprised that it eventually came to this. I think everybody's just surprised that it came so quickly. It has barely been open 18 months.
I think my wife took it harder than I did. I was like, oh, wow, that happened. So I sent it to her. And then she was actually a little bit distraught. I think she had a piece of her heart tied up in eventually us going on it someday, maybe in 5 years, 7 years, something like that. But there was so many great videos out there, people who had an amazing, like world-class experience on this very niche thing that also was something we were interested in, and we joked about going on it, like you and I going for content for the show. And she actually thought she was going to be going on it and was very distraught when it was like, now it's out of the game. Now it's never going to happen. And I was like, wow, like she actually thought it was real. And it's not, but yeah.
Yeah. We had talked about going for my nephew, like in a couple of years, like when he turns 16 or 18 or something like that. Like we were going to make it a really big, kind of milestone trip. So we were, we had a couple of things, looking forward to all of that. What is surprising is that the Star Cruiser has some of, if not the highest customer ratings of anything at Walt Disney World. Like those who actually go on it think it's the greatest thing Disney has ever done, period, stop. But they just couldn't get enough people to actually go take it.
It was so freaking expensive.
You think that is $2,500 a night? Like you just like I am reluctant to pay like $250 a night.
Yeah, you
for
go camping when you go. You're legit camping, which is crazy town with kids.
So $2,500 a night?
Yeah.
Whew, that's got to be just stellar, over the top incredible. But yeah.
So long Galactic Cruiser.
It's done. I know there's a lot of people who are like, oh, maybe they'll turn it into this or they'll do that. Yeah, it's going to sit empty for a couple of years. Like it cost them almost $500 million to make that thing. Okay. So when you're planning to depreciate that thing on the books for a good 30 years and you got to swallow it in 18 months, like you're just going to let it sit. You're not doing anything with that for a long time. You're going to take a good, hard think before you touch that thing again. So
long. So farewell. Avita saying goodbye. Also, speaking of Avita saying goodbye, Eddie, there's a lot of content leaving Disney Plus, just like we've heard about. We talked about this, I think, even last week, maybe the week before, but we actually got some news about what that could be, like what's actually on that list, the chopping block. Yeah,
I was shocked. They are chopping like stuff they launched Disney Plus with. Like
because that's probably the easiest stuff to cut. That's probably because it's the easiest.
Well, and it also makes me wonder, like, is it some of the most expensive stuff because it was created with the intent of being on streaming, so it has kind of stuff in those contracts and stuff that are a little more geared towards streaming.
I would imagine it's like they've got incentives, like every time it hits certain milestones, people get paid more because there's more people watching it, etc. Right. That makes sense to me. But you want to go through the list of the different things?
Yeah. So first off, Willow. Yes, if you remember, they made a TV series about the 1980s Lucasfilm movie called Willow. It got horrible ratings. I honestly don't know anyone who actually sat down and watched any of it, let alone all of it. So yeah, that's going bye-bye immediately. And it's only been out 6 months.
Yeah, not very long at all.
Not very long at all. I think it was out in November. The World According to Jeff Goldblum. I think it's got like 2 or 3 seasons.
Man.
I watched a couple of episodes. I was mildly interested. I thought it was like, okay, this is a good way to launch.
It's weird and wacky, just like Jeff.
Right. But that's gone. The Mysterious Benedict Society, which was a big kind of Disney Channel-esque show that they really pushed really big. I would say my favorite Disney Plus original movie, if you want to call it that, the one and only Ivan with Bryan Cranston. I really enjoyed that movie. I thought it was really good.
No idea what you're talking about. I have to look it up while you're talking about it.
It's actually a really good film. Like I really enjoyed it. I was really glad for it. Like I said, probably one of my favorite Disney Plus original content. The documentary Wolfgang about Wolfgang Puck. Artemis Fowl, which is a huge book series. The movie was directed by Kenneth Branagh. Like that's a heavyweight movie.
That was a hard movie to watch.
But it was a horrible movie.
It was horrible.
Big Shot, the guy from Full House.
Yep. Jesse, Uncle Jesse.
His name's escaping me. Listeners are screaming his name to me right now. But yeah, that's out. Disney Fairy Tale Weddings, which I've heard is like a huge hit on the service. But yeah, that's going by. Encore by Kristen Bell. Like that was another original like launch the whole platform with. Mighty Ducks Game Changers.
Eddie, it's gone.
It is gone. It is gone.
Oh man.
And a lot more. Like I'm just scratching the surface. They are purging this thing, and a lot of it is new stuff. It's not back catalog. Because I think the back catalog stuff isn't costing them anything because streaming wasn't around when those different contracts and stuff were created. It's this newer stuff that's just killing them and eating them alive. All of this is slated to drop off on May 26th. So if anything I said
this week
piques your granted, it's gone. What is that, Friday? So get there, watch it as soon as you possibly can.
We're going to have to find a new favorite podcast kid to really group around, to really rally around this, since we don't have our kid from Mighty Duck Game Changers anymore. Man, yeah, I didn't watch anything past that first season, and I probably shouldn't have even watched the full first season of that because it was exactly not great at all.
Same thing
at all. But yeah, this is, we've been talking about it. We've been kind of keeping you guys in the loop, and now we finally got some actual real world names and titles that are leaving. But there's nothing in here that's, for me personally, that I'm going to rush out to go watch before the end of this week.
The only thing that is leaving that Sarah and I are going to try and watch tonight or tomorrow night, they did a live recording of Harmonious, the old, this was another like huge Disney failure. They spent millions of dollars on a new nighttime show at Epcot that only ran for 18 months. Like usually nighttime shows, they run for forever, like Fantasmic has been running in Disneyland and Hollywood Studios for decades upon decades. And we really liked it. We thought it was a really great show. And they recorded it and they put it out there on Disney Plus, and we watched it. It was like, oh, this is fantastic. They're taking that off. So we're like, okay, that's the one thing we're going to go, because we can't even go see it in the parks anymore. But yeah, Disney Plus, they are shaking this thing up. They want to make money. I mean, they have to make money. Because let's all remember, they are sitting on over 40 billion, yes, billion with a B, in debt from buying Fox. And that's just from buying Fox. I'm sure that there are other debt that they are carrying, and this is not a good time to be carrying debt as we roll into these things. So yeah, they've got to shed weight, and this is one of many ways they are choosing to do that.
Well, there's another weight that is happening that is sitting on the backs of Disney right now, as two films that are about to drop here in the next month or so.
June.
In June, both the next
June.
Two big Disney films coming in June, which is Indiana Jones 5 as well as Elemental. Both have really low expectations right now, and in fact, you sent me something right before this that Indiana Jones already has a rotten rating. Is already getting bad reviews.
Yeah, so they, I think they were trying to copy a bit of Top Gun Maverick's game book, and they premiered this at the Cannes Film Festival. Never know how to pronounce that. And tried to like make it about Harrison Ford as like this great movie star and everything like that, which he got a lot of attention. He got a lot of praise because he's Harrison Ford.
Yep.
but with already 31 reviews off of that, it is sitting at a rotten on Rotten Tomato.
Where's it at? Like 38%, 50%, like just below
it's like right at 50%. I think it's like just below the mark. So who knows? But I mean,
it's not going to help it.
It's not going to help it. And I think your fan base is already holding their breath because, let's be honest, Kathleen Kennedy has not had great success with the nostalgia factor on some of these legacy franchise.
Well, and the fact that we're getting a de-aged Harrison Ford already has some people going, what? How good is this really going to be? I am kind of keeping my expectations low, but I'm still going to go see it. It's still on my list of movies that I really want to go see this summer. It's already got a packed summer. I was just talking about it with my wife before I came on here. Like, I'm going to be seeing a lot of movies. I'm going to be broke this summer. But the fact that it's getting low ratings, I imagine that it's not going to help its case when actually looking at the box office numbers. And speaking of box office numbers, Elemental, I sent this right before we got on here. They talk about setting the bar low. They are expecting Elemental to make around $28 to $39 million opening weekend, which is, I believe, the lowest for sure projection of any Pixar movie that's happened. Any of them that they've had. It's lower than what the Strange World only made $11 million its opening weekend, which is unheard of. But for Pixar, which is usually a little bit higher than even Disney animated films are, this is really low. This is like Onward at the beginning of the pandemic low. Last year's, when their return to the box office with why can I never remember their name? The movie that they released last year. Why am I having such a hard time remembering it? Well, anyways, Pixar's movie last year made $51 million.
Oh, Lightyear.
Lightyear. Thank you. I was struggling with that. Lightyear. That's somewhere. Lightyear made $51 million. So the fact that they're guessing 28 to 39 million.
Is that for its opening weekend or for its entire run?
So $51 million was Lightyear's opening weekend.
Oh, it's its opening weekend. Okay.
Which was really bad for it, which is really bad for a Pixar film. These are super expensive films. And the fact that Elemental, they're guessing way lower even than that, maybe even 13 million lower than that, or 23 million lower. Oh,
do they really think that that's how much it's going to make, or are they just setting the bar so low that when they beat it, they're,
Eddie, this is why we need to do a little bit of digging into how they figure out how they're projecting films to make, because I know it has to do with the number of organic like mentions and word of mouth and social presence, and also kind of how much PR they're putting into it. Sometimes they can tell, hey, they're just not putting very much money to back Strange World. That's how they knew that was going to do bad last year. But so I would love for somebody to do a similar to how they do those, like, this is how Netflix makes money. It's like a digital animatic of like all the things. I want to see how people guess how much money it's going to make on the opening weekend.
Well, and the reason why they guess is because it helps drive the stock price. I mean, stock is all about, it's a gamble. It's guessing, what is this going to do or not do? So I can understand lowering expectations because they don't want to spook the stock price, which is already spooked considerably.
Because if it's really low, but you come in above projections, hey, you get, it's a little bit of extra.
Elemental beats expectations.
A little cherry on top for a bad icing. I don't know. I don't know what the thing is. But.
No, and I don't know. Have you heard anything what their expectations for The Little Mermaid is?
I kind of avoided it because we're getting so close to it. It's coming out this weekend. I don't plan on rushing out to go see it, but I'm sure we will talk about it next week a little bit of not the movie, but how it did.
Yeah.
All I can say is
we all know I'm not going to go see it.
You've been avoiding everything. I do love the memes you send me about it though. I'm just saying the people that I'm around, mostly what they talk about is the same problem that I had with Lion King, where I'm like, you're making these animals so realistic.
It's creepy.
Yes, they're lifeless, dead in the eyes, and you lose all of that personality and relying it fully on the voice actors to do all the heavy lifting, nothing visual. So we'll see what happens with it. I might get bored over my 10-day vacation around 4th of July. I might kind of sneak out a little bit and go see it, but
by 4th of July, you're going to have a ton of other stuff to go see.
Eddie, I'm watching all of it. I got plenty of time. So.
How was Fast Five? How was Fast Five? How was Fast Five squared, I should say.
Fast Five squared. Fast 10? Is that
yes. How was Fast
Eddie,
10?
It's exactly everything that I want in a Fast 10 movie. And with the caveat that they didn't have to go all the way to freaking space this time.
Good.
For the film. So I think they kind of like, okay, let's lower the bar to make it a little bit better. But I haven't seen how it did or anything like that. But I fully enjoyed every second of being there. I should be looking that up while we're talking about it. But yeah, this is man, Disney can't catch a break. They're one kind of low expectation after another. I think they're okay with how Guardians has been doing. I haven't really caught up since then, but it seems to be their one shining moment.
Guardians has had like one of the lowest drop-offs.
Oh no.
No, like
it's good. Like
did I phrase that
minimal amount of people. So it's getting good word of mouth. Maybe people are finding out, hey, this is the best Guardians movie in 5 years.
But it's like one of the best MCU
movies, yeah.
Almost 5 years. They are any success Guardians has is bittersweet because they are losing
lost James
Gunn. And so any dollar they make, they know they're losing 5 future dollars. Right?
How sad is that?
It's got to be so sad for them.
To lose it to a direct competitor, not like, hey, I'm going in a new direction, but literally
I'm going
the
over
other
to DC.
Superheroes down the street, which granted, they've been the big brother in this entire thing. And for them to make that big of a change, it's like the Clippers overtaking the Lakers. It's probably never going to happen. But at the same time, yeah, you're right. It kind of sucks a little bit.
Yeah. Speaking of MCU, we got some updates to their release schedule and a few kind of interesting things in there. The jam-packed month of June will continue. Yeah.
So like we said before, and they've kind of come out and said, hey, we're going to slow down the MCU releases. And so we've kind of been like, I've been waiting for an updated, like, hey, tell me when are things going to actually, because every time we come out and say, hey, this is when the release schedule is going to be, we're going to see this, this, and this, and it keeps changing. So this could be all wrong after tomorrow, well, mostly wrong. After tomorrow, after you listen, maybe even between when we've recorded this and when it comes out live. So bear with us, but just wanted to give you an update of what the MCU schedule is looking like. So first off, for the rest of this year, we've got 4 big properties coming. If you've already seen Guardians, anything new after that. So we've got Secret Invasion on Disney Plus that comes out June 21st. So in the midst of all the other movies that you got coming.
Which looks good. Looks
great. Looks fun. It's had good trailers so far. A lot of Samuel L. Jackson. We'll see if he can carry this. We get Loki season 2 in October. So it's going to be a big fall. Loki season 2 in October.
Yeah, slowing the pace down, releasing everything back to back to back.
So nothing else this summer or even early fall. It's like this is deep into the fall. We're getting Loki season 2. We'll see if Loki finally gets back reunited with himself, his true love. We got The Marvels in November 10th. So that had been pushed out of the another end of summer release. So that got pushed down to November 10th. Echo, that's coming out November 29th. So holiday time.
And all of it, they are dropping all episodes simultaneously.
Does that make you scared to watch it if they're like, let's just get all of it out there as soon as possible?
I have no idea. There's Disney's spinning it as like, hey, the binge model has worked really well for Netflix. Like, we're going to give it a try. Da, 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 da. I'm like, yeah, if you're going to give it a try, I feel like you're not going to do it on Echo. I don't know. I more and more would prefer the binge model, honestly. I think some of the other ones, I've just kind of lost a little interest as it's trickled out. And these latest Netflix shows that they've dropped all at once, like, it's been great.
Stranger
like, I
Things.
just watch it over 4 or 5 days. Like, boom, knock it out. Like The Diplomat, like what you had sent me.
I still need to finish that, by the way. Thank you for reminding me. Maybe I'll do that sometime.
You never finished it?
I had to make the choice between, as I'm sitting there holding my newborn daughter. What else do you have
to do? What else? Oh, that's right.
Yeah, something like that.
Keep a newborn alive.
I had to make this choice between, is what I'm watching, do I want to watch this thing, do I have the brain capacity to watch it, or do I need something on just in the background while my daughter's crying? So when I need something on that I want to watch, it's The Diplomat. But I've had a lot more times where I need to just throw something on. So that's where I go, Arrested Development, or all the great things of Transformers. Transformers is the perfect your daughter's crying movie to have on, distracting, whatever, etc. So that ends up 2024. And if you now 2023, which notably, a couple of them that got pushed out of the year was Ironheart. That was supposed to be this year. And Agatha, Coven of Chaos. That was supposed to be end of the year. Those both do not have time frames yet. It just says 2024. That's just kind of the last thing we've been told. So we're still waiting on those dates to come around. But the ones that we do have, that we know about, and have dates for, we actually don't have anything for the winter time, and for the normally there's like a February or March release. We don't have anything currently right now. Next summer we're getting Captain America: New World Order, so we'll see how the new Captain America comes around after seeing him in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Now he's Captain America. How's that all going to work out? Hopefully, I liked his suit at the end of it. We'll see if he carries that on, but
we'll see if the whole world goes, what? Who? This is Captain America? What happened?
What happened? How did he become Captain America? I don't
have Disney Plus.
How did Grogu get back with Mando? I'm so confused. So then we have following that, later that summer we have Thunderbolts, which is like their version of Suicide Squad, where it's like the alternate kind of bad guys, kind of like the misplaced, but like turning a new leaf kind of bad guys, like Fake Cap, the leader of this thing. So we get that end of the summer, that July. Then Blade, that's supposed to come out September 6th. I'm wondering if that's still going to happen, because they are on hiatus due to the writer's strike right now. So we don't know if that's actually going to follow through all the way happening. Who knows about that one? But then also we've got Deadpool 3. Now that because of the merger, now we're starting to get the other Marvel characters inside of the MCU. We'll be getting Daredevil later that year as well. It's still kind of just 2024. We'll see if it actually happens or not. But Deadpool is one of the first ones to, now that it's in the fold, getting its own sequel.
It's a lot. It's still a lot. That's why I'm shocked with the whole like, oh yeah, we're gonna pace things out. We're gonna slow down.
They did a little bit. We had two, Ironheart and Agatha. Those were going to come out this year, and they didn't, and they're not.
Yeah,
but there's still a lot to remaining. It's
still a lot. It'll be interesting just to kind of see where everybody is and what shakes out. There's a lot to be said.
But that is all that needs to be said, because it's time for what you guys all came here for, which was for the next review in our series of all the Disney movies from 1988 to 2005, aka known as our childhood. So today we are covering, is this the last one? I keep on saying it's the last one. It's not.
I have no idea.
Is it not? I believe this might be one of our final films of 2004 before we get into the final one. And that is a masterpiece in National Treasure.
Cue the Disney sound effect.
Okay, let's do the IMDb description. But before we do that, Eddie, congratulations to everybody, because this is perfectly timed episode, because a horse named National Treasure won the Preakness Stakes this weekend. This is perfect. We had to push it off because we did Guardians of the Galaxy. Who knew that was going to win it, the Preakness? It's amazing.
You sent me that article, and no lie, I stared at it for 60, 90 seconds going, I have no idea what he's talking about.
Because the horses have the weirdest names. They always have the weirdest names.
And let's be honest, I know nothing of horse racing.
Neither do I.
Whatever you said,
it's
they
just
won.
One of the races.
I've never heard of this.
Eddie, it's like Bristol and Daytona.
I'm like, I know there's something big in Kentucky once a year.
Yeah. I just wanted to say that it literally floored me. I was like, this is amazing. We're just about to go record this, and it won the Preakness. This is amazing.
I think it's hilarious how amazing you think it is. I think it's a sign of how sleep deprived you really are.
What are the odds? One, there is a horse named National Treasure, let alone that it wins a race.
You know how many crazy names you've got? Like American Pharaoh, I've heard is like a horse's name.
But that makes it even crazier. They could have done anything. This isn't like John Smith won and the odds are if you choose a human. No, the movie named National Treasure, the one we are going to review, and we should have done it last week.
Please
and we pushed
tell me
it.
You did not go buy scratch off tickets.
No, I didn't.
Okay.
Thought about, a little FanDuel, had the bet ready to go. Just waited too long. Then I ran out of time.
You've got a third college account to start funding, so I understand.
This is how I'm going to do it next time. If it's in any other races.
That was the thing. I stood and looked at this link for a good minute and a half going, I have no idea what he's referencing. And then I'm like, oh,
it's a horse's name.
Okay. I don't think it's that big of a coincidence, but
oh gosh.
I'm like, poor JB. He's not sleeping. Let's just give this one to him.
Yeah. And speaking of give this to, let's give this back to IMDb. We've almost gone without doing this. So the IMDb description, like we do with every one of these, we rate how good this is. So IMDb, what is the IMDb description for this film? For National Treasure. A historian races to find the legendary Templar treasure before a team of mercenaries. You needed something at the end, like before the mercenaries get there first or something. You kind of just left it. So I'm a little upset about that. But Eddie, I could talk all day about National Treasure. I want to give the floor to you for a little bit to talk about this film.
To me,
what did you think? Where do you want to go with this? You can go any direction you want. You're doing a lot of things with my hands right now.
I remember going and seeing this movie in theaters, and I mean, we would have been seniors, in high school, and I left that theater thinking, they made a movie just for me. This is
hit all the boxes.
They thought, you know what? Eddie is about to graduate high school. Disney wanted to give me a graduation gift, and they gave it to me in National Treasure. And you can tell, you can tell our listeners, I love history. I spend way too much time reading, watching, going to museums. I love this stuff. And so to turn it into a scavenger hunt, treasure hunt.
You love games too.
And it's the person, here's the other thing. I am not an athletic person. God never gifted me with an ounce
Eddie,
of athleticism.
Don't shortchange yourself. Your Frisbee game is
I will give you that.
Top 5 in our class.
I do have a really good Frisbee
Great
game.
Frisbee. I was super jealous of your Frisbee game.
I've got some good Frisbee game. And that translated decently also over to disc golf, believe it or not.
I believe it.
One time I went out with somebody to play disc golf, and I hadn't really played, and they're like, "Oh, give it a shot." And I shot like a good 6 under par or something, and they're like, "What? I thought you said you were going to be horrible at this." I'm like, "Yeah." So besides Frisbee, I'm not an athletic person whatsoever. In most movies, the hero arrives to his heroicism based off of some level of athleticism.
Yeah.
Well,
brute force.
Here, it's Nicolas Cage. No one ever accused Nicolas Cage of athleticism. But the main character, he wins. He navigates it all based off of
his mind.
His wit and knowledge and passion and love of subject.
Puzzling
skills, yes.
Real thing.
It spoke to me at a deep level of this is for me. Disney gave me a graduation gift. How did you feel when you watched this?
So I never got to see it in theaters, unfortunately. I would love, if this thing came, they're bringing everything back to theaters right now. If they brought this thing back, I would be first in line. Yeah. So where I think this blossomed from just, hey, I really enjoyed that, to this is a staple in our home now, was 2014. Went up to Big Bear with some friends on a 4th of July extended weekend. It was 3 days we were up there. We all took extra time off, and we were just had nothing to do for an afternoon. We didn't really want to do any more hiking, and we were like, let's watch something patriotic. We need to watch something patriotic because it's over 4th of July weekend. And I think we'd already watched Independence Day or couldn't find it. I don't know. And someone was like, what about National Treasure? We're all like, none of us have seen it in forever. Yeah, that sounds about right. And I just became hooked. And I've watched it every 4th of July for almost 9 years straight.
You didn't see it for the first 10 years of its existence?
No, I did. I had seen it and enjoyed it, but it
didn't hook you.
Yeah. So this is less a story about the inception as it is, how has it grown into a family friend?
Yeah.
And this is how it did. That 4th of July in 2014, that extended weekend sealed the deal for me. And I said, this is my family. We don't have a lot of family traditions, but this is one. I watch it every 4th of July time. And in fact, Eddie, I was so stringent on it, and it kind of made my wife mad because I did not watch it before this review because, well, one, I know most of the movie now. Yeah. Mostly by heart. And I just had to watch a trailer to just be reminded of a few things. But she was kind of mad. She's like, you didn't
to get the essence.
Yeah. But I wanted to wait because I still want to watch it on 4th of July. And I don't want to we're too close. It's not like if we were doing a Christmas movie right now. Yeah, I would do that. I would watch that. Sure. But I wanted to wait because you're right. When you said this movie was made for me too. It was made for me too, because I am a sucker for any investigative, journalist, looking into secret. And then this was at that time. Do you remember that time in the mid 2000s with the secret societies? This is the same time as the Da Vinci Code with the Illuminati. So this is heavy on the Freemasons. But it still has all the history stuff, and you're like, ooh, maybe that is true. Maybe I should go investigate the back of the Declaration of Independence. It plays with your mind a little bit in a fun way. It doesn't take itself too seriously. It's not. It's kind of campy, but not being overtly campy.
It's Nick Cage campy.
It's Nick. Yeah, you're right.
Where this shouldn't work, but because it's him, it's working somehow. The Rock, the movie The Rock, right? Yeah. Where it's this movie is so over the top and crazy, but it works.
it works. And I think I could go into all the different scenarios of it, but like, it warms my heart watching this.
Yeah.
And it also infuriates me when they try to remake it as a television show. And it
Didn't
was
even watch
so
it. Didn't
bad.
even touch it. Didn't even touch it.
Whatever was
like, no.
Whatever was great about this movie, they did a 180 and did the opposite of trying to be self-referential, trying to be current and modern, and none of it worked. So that's why that's why I loved this.
I think that's on the chopping block as well to leave Disney Plus, if memory serves me correct.
Hopefully it is.
I didn't even include it because I'm like, it's not worth it. Yeah, I like your idea. I think we're gonna adopt your tradition of watching it on 4th of July. I like that. I watched it with our kids, and our kids were riveted. And Sarah and I were like, it's a lot of dialogue heavy here or there, but our kids loved it. Eileen and Lewis
Eddie,
just watched it.
For Lewis, it's an easy bad guy. You know pretty quickly.
Yes.
And Sean Bain, this is in the heyday of the Lord of the Rings craze. Right at his peak, Sean Bean, and this has a great cast in it. Nicolas Cage, Dan Kruger, Sean Bean, John Voight. We even get
Christopher Plummer for a little bit.
Christopher Plummer, yep. In the opening, that opening scene just sets the tone.
So good.
The mythology, and he's going up in the attic, and his dad doesn't really care about it, but it's the grandfather. He's carrying on his grandfather's legacy, and it's his ancestors. So good. Well, just sets it right up.
And I gotta say, I think like the secret sauce in that opening is like Christopher Plummer's voice, just like the way he does that. Now you just like, you are sucked in, like, boom, I am there right away.
And you gotta, when they go to, and then they go directly to Antarctica, and I believe that's right. Is it the South Pole or something like, right? Anyways,
something tundra.
It doesn't matter. You're in the tundra. You're directly with Nicolas Cage now. They're in the Land Rover, like the giant bulldozer things, whatever it is, and then you're directly into a ship.
Keep describing these machines. It's brilliant.
It's industry specific. And then you're like, there's a ship out here. And then they're digging up the ship, and then there's a 2,000-year-old pipe that's got a secret code. And I'm just like, yes. You got to use blood to get to see the message of it. It's everything.
Yes. The second he uses blood, his own blood for the ink, you're just like, yes, I'm bought in. Like, he is there. He is there. Though I do have to say, we spent the next 5 minutes trying to explain to Lewis, he's okay. But he cut himself, but he's bleeding, but it's blood, And we were like, no, it's okay. It's just a little bit, that was really a big moment. But yeah, it captured, well, and that's what it was. You have this amazing, shall we call it like prologue, right? That just, boom, has you. And they use that energy and just catapult you into that scene and establish the stakes immediately. Okay, now he has to race against this bad guy, and you kind of see what he is capable of immediately, from blowing it all up. And also within those, in that first scene after the prologue, you get they're going after the Declaration of Independence.
So that scene in of itself, when he's staring at it and he's doing his monologue, talking about the founding fathers, and then he just stops and he goes, I'm going to steal the Declaration of Independence. I'm just like, yes, you are. Yeah. Yes, you are. This is so bad, but so good at the same time. I'm in. How are we going to do this?
I know the other film of the era that it kind of helps with this is in that moment and in the whole scene of stealing, you've got a lot of Ocean's 11 coming out, right? And I think that's another reason why this just kind of works. You've got a similar energy and all of that.
One of my favorite random scenes. It's not like a high stakes scene or anything like that. But when they're in Abigail Chase's office, Diane Kruger's office, and they're describing without using the actual word, they're trying to use like fluffy words to describe what they're doing, and she's like, "So you mean there's a treasure map on the back?" Like, but and it's like, well, why didn't you? He's like, it's invisible.
And
it's like,
that's where we lost the FBI.
I just love, and then she's like, did Bigfoot take it? Like, I just I love that scene just because he's dancing around it so eloquently in the best way, in the most Nicolas Cage way. And then he's like, you mean there's a map, a treasure map on the back of and it's invisible? What is going on? I lose it every time. It's so good.
And I think what is helpful is it keeps changing. Like, it's a good treasure hunt, good clues, and keeps the pace, for the most part, going.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't, drop off and kind of meander. No, it knows that it is a treasure hunt, and that it keeps the hunt going all the way through. So you're immediately going to his dad's house. You're examining it. Well, I mean, we're skipping over the whole heist of the Declaration of Independence. That is fantastic. That is just
great action,
fun action through and through.
Which is hanging out the van
yes.
door, like life's on it on a razor's edge. Love that stuff.
And he bought a replica. Oh my goodness! And he swapped it out. It's like and that works, especially because about every history classroom in America had some type of like replica of the Declaration of Independence mounted hanging up on the teacher's bulletin board.
A couple pins barely holding it in place.
Yeah. And so just so many different moments and all that works. But then you go over to the dad's house and you get that family dynamic added into the plot of the tension there.
Give up, son.
Yeah. And then, oh my goodness, there really is the map. And they're writing it all down. Then you go to Philadelphia and you're going through all those different letters. And then you go to Independence Hall, and then you're in New York City, like boom, 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 like that pace and the pushing forward of it all. I think is part of the reason why this movie is just a fun ride from start to end.
And one of the big reasons for that is the score that sounds like the quintessential Jerry Bruckheimer score. Eddie, do you want to talk about that?
I honestly didn't look it up. Who wrote the score? I don't
remember. All I know is when you hear it, you're just like, this is exactly what I would expect. Like, you could just turn that on and go, I'm probably watching a Jerry Bruckheimer film right now. Whatever that sound is, whatever his larger than life, whether it's Transformers, etc. Like, this is Pirates. I believe that was Jerry Bruckheimer too, right? Yep. Like this fits in right alongside those. I think some of those other ones, especially Pirates, is a lot more recognizable. But the score drives this thing and carries you all the way through it. As I delay so that Eddie can continue to find that. There we go.
Trevor Rabin. I don't know him.
Okay. Well, I just talked him up a big game, but
he frequently collaborates with Jerry Bruckheimer. Like, that's his main thing, is he does Jerry Bruckheimer films. Interesting. Yeah. Yes, I agree with you. I think it's a classic Bruckheimer score. For me, it's not anything that I would write home about. It's not
necessarily
like one
unique
of the scores in my repertoire,
but it's exactly what I want.
Right.
It's not the score. Right. It's not the score we want, but it's the score we deserve, Eddie.
Oh, goodness gracious. I think something I do want to point out in this that I think that also makes this such a fun movie is more or less the dueling antagonist of both Sean Bean's character and the FBI. I love that back and forth through it all of just like clearly defined antagonism happening, but also that it is applying this constant pressure, and sometimes they swap against each other.
And they tried to bring him back, Harvey Keitel, for the series National Treasure. He's in the opening, like,
oh, is he? I didn't know that.
The pilot episode. If can you call it a pilot if you just made all of it once. But yeah, he's great. He's traditional FBI guy, and then
getting in the way.
Getting in the way. That's a great way to put it. I was also going to say the enemy of my enemy is my friend. I don't know what way to go with that, but I also love. We can't leave this without talking about the spectacles. The little spectacles with the colors and the reveal. Like, oh, they actually move and they change based on what you're. That was such a fun. Those are just fun things that is completely ridiculous, never possible, but at the same time, super fun. And that's what I want in a heist treasure movie starring Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, and I think the moment of that reveal of the spectacles, I also love just that nice little moment beforehand where he kind of like shivers because it's the first time the Declaration of Independence has been in Independence Hall since its signing, and they just kind of have a moment. It's like, oh yeah. Even though we know that that's a set, that's a fake piece of paper.
No, it wasn't. It was real.
We all kind of ooh. Feelings on Riley. Does Riley make or break this movie? Is he an essential character or is he a tag-on character?
He is essential to what these stories always need. They always need the sidekick who also has some one-liners. Always kind of like the guy. I would
agree. I think he's essential. I don't think you have the wit and the pacing of this without.
I mean, he definitely can't stand on his own, and I think they tried to bring him into the new series, and I never saw him, so I don't know if he did well or not. He definitely isn't a character that needs his own time to shine, but I do love even in the moments where he finally knows one thing that nobody else knows, and he's just like, let me just sit in this for a moment and just like gaze upon what's happening right now. I think he's great in the role that he has to play in what he's expected to be asked for, as the sidekick who is kind of somewhat of the comic, kind of the relief and kind of the everyman that's kind of like us being there in the moment with him, with all these super smart historian people. So I love him. I think he's a lovable sidekick.
I have to ask, since we are not going to get to it, or at least depending upon what we do next in our podcast series, the sequel, did we like it? Did we not? With no ratings, just did we like it or did we not?
I think I watched it last year around the same time because I was like, I hadn't seen it in a really long time, and it does go in a different direction. We get Helen Mirren in it as his mom, so that's a mom. Her and John Voight together kind of works. It's similar.
He kidnaps the president.
It does go an extra level with kidnapping the president, just a little maybe a little bit too far, but it's good. I this one just has such a place in my heart that the other one's kind of like, hey, that's kind of nice to have, but.
No, I bring it up because I did like it. I don't think it is on the exact same level of this one, but it's pretty darn close. And I also bring it up to say, like, I'm shocked there hasn't been a third National Treasure. Just dumbfounded. Why has Disney not actually done a third National Treasure movie? And that they went and did some stupid series instead, like, you're looking for tried and true franchises to cash in and make some money. Like, to me, this just seems like such a no-brainer, and they haven't touched it yet.
I'm pretty sure that there's been some rumblings recently about it, that they're actually in talks with Nicolas Cage about coming back for a third one. There is an IMDb for the third one that just says 2024. So I don't know if it's true, if it's really happening or not. You'd think there'd be a little bit more smoke if it's going to be coming out next year. But so far, I think it's kind of on the horizon. It's a very high. It's a little bit of a possibility. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, it just seems odd because we're only this came out a year removed from Pirates of the Caribbean, also Jerry Bruckheimer, and that obviously turned into this huge, massive franchise money-making machine for Disney. You would have thought that they would have looked at this and said, oh, here's another one. Like, here's another opportunity. And started milking the cow for that. Also, I'm surprised National Treasure never had any type of park presence. To me, this just seems like it has some type of park experience written all over it. Anything from, like
one of those backlot ones with the exploding, like people jumping from place to place, like.
Sure. Or, some type of a dark ride, or even at minimum in Disney World, there's several series of like actual scavenger hunts. Like you've got the DuckTales World Showcase Adventure all around Epcot. You've got, you used to have Sorcerers of the Magic Kingdom at Magic Kingdom. Like those were all fun. Like those are things like Sarah and I love to do so much. But there was never ever like a National Treasure even version of that. I'm just shocked that there hasn't been.
Eddie. Let's start the petition.
I think here's my pitch. If I can just play armchair Imagineer for a second.
Armchair Iger over here.
I think they ought to strip out the show building for Hall of Presidents at Magic Kingdom. I like Hall of Presidents. I think it's great, but it's becoming way too contentious, right? It's just way too political for the climate and everything. I think you could accomplish the same thing with some type of National Treasure.
Animatronic Nicolas Cage.
Nick Cage? Oh my gosh, that would be so cool.
I would listen to that.
Yes.
It is a great place to just go and sleep for 20 minutes.
It doesn't necessarily have to be, because it's a huge theater and show building. And there at Disney World, it is in the Liberty Square. Like it's a replica of colonial America. So it should work on so many different levels. But I would love some type of National Treasure ride. I mean, something. I'll settle for even like a show of some kind. But I think that there's something there that you could do. There's a great place for that. Reuse that show building. Last time I was there, it wasn't even half full. And that was like on a hot day when everybody wanted the AC. I just don't think it's got the draw like it used to have. We've still got, great moments with Lincoln and Disneyland. Like it's represented. We've got that there. But I think let's do something National Treasure right there in the middle of Liberty Square.
Love this idea, Eddie. It's great. Okay. Is it any wonder what my rating is going to be for this?
I don't think there's
It's going to be 5 gummy worms, man, all the way.
I'm right there with you. There's nothing to nitpick here.
It's great. Maybe it's not the highest of cinema artiste, but it's everything that I want in a movie. Everything that I want in something like this.
Just to make go back to the comparison I just made, Pirates of the Caribbean. I would say this is on par with that. We gave it 5 gummy worms. If you were to ask me like, hey, which one do you want to watch? Pirates of the Caribbean or National Treasure? I gotta stop and think. Like that's a hard decision for me.
And they probably spent way less money on this than they did on Pirates of the Caribbean.
I don't think it was as
commercially successful.
Big as commercial success.
Yeah, probably not.
I don't know though. Its box office was $348 million. That's pretty darn good. Especially off of a budget of over of 100 million. So hopefully we get that third one. That would be really cool. But yeah, for me, it's a solid 5 gummy worms through and through. And with that, folks, your life has been forever changed by another episode of Honey, We Made a Disney Podcast.
Be sure to subscribe wherever you listen to your other favorite podcasts. And while you're there, please leave us a 5-star review and share it with your best friend.
You can also check us out at honeywemade.com, where you can see our full movie list, which includes all the episodes that we've already covered from 1988 to 2005. And next week, where we will review The Pacifier.
Finally jumping into 2005, Eddie. Going for the home stretch. Thank you for listening. And remember, someone's got to go to prison, Ben.